I'm allowing love, I'm allowing God in me, I'm listening to him, I'm following him. That's love reigning in me. And then then that's how I can extend love to others, because love is in me. We all talk about priorities in life. There's so many things that we're committed to. We have commitments outside the home, commitments in the home, and all that. And there is something to say about making sure that we get all of our priorities straight. You know, first things first, as I've heard it said. And the first priority, the first person in our life is God. God is first in our lives. That we need to make sure that we put him first above all else. That the moment that I put my wife or my kids or anything ahead of my relationship with God, I run into problems. And what that looks like, I think, is something like, how's my prayer time? You know, am I on a daily commitment of going to God in prayer and giving God time to pray? And to talk to him, to converse with him, not just to say my prayers and check it off the list, but to listen to him. You know, we talked about that before, about the importance of listening after we say our prayers and say our intentions. He wants to hear all of that, but to spend time to listen to what God might be stirring in our hearts, you know, and being patient with that. And also, too, that abiding relationship is following God's command for us. Like, there are going to be times where I've got to do what God's asking me to do. And it might be hard, it might be difficult. You know, we're in the Christmas season now, we just went through Advent, and we were looking at St. Joseph, and, you know, man of few words, and you know, you hear what his response is to the angel. He responds, and he doesn't divorce Mary, and he leaves Egypt, you know, and he goes, and he's even amongst the dysfunction of all the things that's going on around him and the challenges, he trusts and he follows God. And that's what makes his family a holy family, is not because of his successes and his carpentry skills. It's in the fact that Christ is at the center of his life. Christ is at the center of his home. And so for us to be able to follow, what is God asking of us? You know, what is he calling us to do? And to be faithful to that, because at the moment that we don't follow God's command and what God is asking of us, we're, even though that we might say we love God, our actions, which speak louder than our words, are saying something else. And so just like with Adam and Eve in the garden, Adam and Eve, both of them, remember, they turned away from God. And the moment that they broke faith, they broke that commandment, they stopped following God and stopped listening to God and started following their own desires, that's when all the problem came through, right? So we got to make sure that our connection with God is in place. And when we do that, when we have this relationship with God, then we can truly love the people in our lives rightly. I think I've used the analogy before, maybe of like playing tag. You know, as kids, we would play tag, and let's say this desk is base. And if we're all playing tag and we're trying to get away from the person who's it, if I'm on base, I can hold on to base and then stretch my hand out, and I can extend base to somebody. That even if they're not as close as they can be to the desk, I can stretch out my hand and make it a little closer for them. And if they hold on to my hand, and if I'm holding on to the desk, then they're safe because they're on base. But if I let go of base, then I'm not giving them base. I'm not helping them. And the moment that we turn away from God, that we let go of God and that priority in our life and try to help others, we fall short, because we're not holding on to base. And who base is this abiding love, that when love is, I'm not just holding on to love, but I'm allowing love, I'm allowing God in me, I'm listening to him, I'm following him. That's love reigning in me. And then then that's how I can extend love to others, because love is in me. And so if I compromise my relationship with God, if I'm not turning to him, if I'm not trying to be fed and nourished by him, then I'm going to fall short in trying to help others. And also, too, so I have God first and my spouse is second. Now, we have 5 children, and we have 5 beautiful, amazing children. But as amazing and beautiful as they are, I cannot put them ahead of my spouse. if I do, I cause lots of problems in the relationship. And I hear that too in a lot of relationships and marriages. When we go on retreats, couples will talk about how it's so easy, and it is so easy, to let the focus of our attention and of our day go to our kids, and then we neglect our spouse. Just like sometimes we can put our focus on our day and on our work and on our spouse, but neglect God. So if we can keep God first and focus on keeping our spouse second, then we can love rightly our children. One of the best gifts that we can give our children is to love their mom or to love their dad, right? Is because they came from that love. And the best way that I can love my spouse is to love God rightly, because that's where our love comes from. But that doesn't give me permission with my relationship with God to neglect my spouse. I've got to be attentive to my spouse. In fact, the more that I go deep in my relationship with God, the more that He reveals to me how to be attentive and caring and loving to my wife, not on my own. And then at the same time, once I do that, then I can then go to my children and love them rightly, because we need them to see, not just read and figure out. They need to see and experience in the home this ordered, loving relationship. And I think that helps also to bring peace into the home.